Good morning. One of the things we looked at when it first started was the last line of the whole concept here of the session we have, and it says, to be precise, the panel will present various novelty and theme ideas and explain how to best use them without becoming a distraction to the square dance. So I want to give you how to make it a distraction to the square dance first so you understand the difference. Every year we have a big production for our New Year's Eve dance, and it is a true production. We have done some things like flying around the world, flying around the country. We have done an entire night in Camelot, where the food and everything else was featured as much as the music. We also had skits almost built into the music. The whole thing was built around, I was Merlin. A newer caller was King Arthur. He pulled a sword from the stone, and we taught him all the lessons that you would have seen in the movie. We did songs about birds, so he was a bird, came out in a bird costume for that tip. We did things where he was a fish and learned how to look at life through a school of fish. And so he had goggles and a fins and the whole 9 yards. And needless to say, this kind of production, that was almost as much as important to the people doing it because it was a night's entertainment. It was a 3.5-hour dance, and it was more about the entire production as much as it was about the dancing. We did some fun dancing and everything, but it almost took second place to what we did. As a matter of fact, King Arthur is here with us today. If Matt, would you stand up so you be recognized as King Arthur? My good friend Matt Rainack, a newer caller from Granby, Colorado. But he grew a lot that night. We had a good time, and we ended up having, he became king, took over the kingdom, and I faded off into the distance like Merlin should. But we had things between. I had a Merlin's Magic Book of Spells, and every tip was about 5 minutes of lead-in and then 15 minutes of dancing. So it can become overboard, and that's not what this session's about. This session's about how to spice up a dance by having minor theme things. Would you like?
It's interesting that you talked about magic because I did a dance for a club in Southern California, their anniversary dance, and I was billed as Deborah, Mistress of Magic. And I made my entrance. We had someone in the club who was sort of a minor magician, and then he had contacts that were major magicians. And I appeared on stage out of a flash of fire.
Wow.
Yeah, and I had these things strapped to my wrist that threw fireballs. And so that was a tad distracting, throwing fireballs at the dancers and such. But we did a magic trick in the middle of the dance where I was kidnapped by an evil wizard and locked in a trunk. And then I got out, and the wizard ended up being the one in the trunk. And I found out why magicians and magicians' assistants are tiny little people. Because it was really hard for me with these long legs and long arms to get the key out of my shoe when I was all bound up in the trunk to unlock my handcuffs to be able to get out.
Are you trying to say I could not be the princess in the trunk?
No, I don't think we could do the trunk thing with you. But that was distracting. They also had brought in one of those jumping castles, that kids like to get in and bounce up and down. And they had dancing out there in the castle. You won a castle badge by getting in the jumping castle and trying to dance. And as soon as they would circle left, they would all fall down. So they had a lot of fun with that. And the food was more like you would have at medieval times. It was, chicken legs and things that you ate with your hands. And
well, you have to take the chicken legs and make them the little chicken wing parts, and those were Merlin's magically reduced turkey legs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But these sort of things, the focus goes away from the dance and onto the theme. So the theme is the big thing. It's not really enhancing the square dance activity. It's not doing it in that regard. They're fun, and they have their place, but if you get carried away like that every time, how do you top it? So bless you. So that was my experience with things over the top. Also, when I've done luau dances, sometimes they will have a luau show at the half part of the dance, and that always goes on too long. And so that, I think, distracts from the dance. So that's my input on that.
Thank you. So anyway, we got together and talked about different just basic themes that you could do for dances. Now, you can theme tips if you want to, of course, with different calls and what you're doing with the evening, but you can just pick some generalized specific things, and sometimes your club comes up with the idea. My club started a couple of years ago when we took over as club callers, decided they wanted to have a theme for every dance. Every dance had some kind of minor theme that fit into whatever the holiday season was around or whatever came off the top of their heads. And so every dance had a name, even though necessarily a lot of the colors they brought in didn't follow the theme. It was okay. They had decorations there, and the food was around that, and that's what they made it. But I've always tried to do with my club, at least have a few of the tips themed around it, and then I want to sing something I want to sing sometimes anyways, so I'm going to do that. But that's not till later in the night. But that was an interesting whistle. I didn't know I had that in me. So shall we start down the list here a little bit? Everybody got some of our pretty color handouts. And this year we decided to put something around NASCAR this year. We had a Start Your Engines dance. And see some of the ideas there. You can read them on your handouts. Little Deuce Coupe, Pink Cadillac, Hot Rod Lincoln, All My Life's a Circle. And you say, all my life is a circle? Well, it was one of those weird ideas I have. And you don't always have to have a song that fits it perfectly. But if you use, because if you think about those NASCAR drivers, it goes something like this. Circle left. All my life's a circle. I'm always turning left. Do an Allemande left to your corner. A do-side-do. Allemande left. And weave the ring. Now, you'll notice the boys are all, when they weave the ring, they're left-hand turns, just like NASCAR. You can talk to them about that as peaceful as you want, because that's what it's all about. Because whenever they're driving in NASCAR, everything is about that left-hand turn. So sometimes you have to think outside the box, because your theme may not have things built into it for you to play with. More fun she puts in there to remind the boys to do it right, left, right, or weave the ring, that they're promenading, they're always making left-hand turns. And I try to take one tip in that and just make all the choreography where the boys are only making left-hand turns. For a change, I don't care about overflow. Those boys are going to make a left-hand turn as much as I can. And it's just kind of fun to play with one tip of that, because I can't kill them all night with that. And, of course, we remind them they can't do a wrong way grand, because the boys be turning right, and that would never happen in their lives with NASCAR.
Also, it's fun when you, for the NASCAR one, to do some things with All 8 Circulate using the inside track and the outside track of an All 8 Circulate. The centers have the inside track, the ends have the outside track. The centers, they're on a go-kart track, and only the end dancers are actually on NASCAR. And so you get them to make appropriate noises for the go-kart versus NASCAR. So you can also put that in for the choreography for one of the tips in there, is making the race car noises for the All 8 Circulate. And then you get to actually give them a little workshop on All 8 Circulate without them realizing what you're doing. Sure. The next one that you see there is my favorite color. I thought this was particularly brilliant because it really doesn't take a whole lot of decorations. A few boxes of crayons tossed hither and yon. If there's a table covered up with butcher paper, the dancers, when they sign in, can sign in on the table using a crayon. Okay, you've got it all right there. Pick your favorite color and sign in. It helps if you advertise these things ahead of time so other dancers and not just your club can be in on the fun. As a caller, I get kind of upset if a club has a theme and they haven't let me know, because then I don't get to really play. Because I'll go out and rent a costume, or, you know, I want to get into it. I want to have some fun. So the color one of the songs, for example, this was a given, and it was just right up my alley because it was a song that I released for hi-hat called Colors of the Wind. Side space, grand square, you think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim, but I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. Circle out. Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon? Allemande left and swing and promenade. Can you sing with all the voices of the mountain? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Now, hopefully you will look at these songs that Bear and I have taken the time to list for you and think of a different theme or place that you could slot those in. Obviously, if you had a Thanksgiving dance Would not Colors of the Wind and the message that it gives work there? Yes, it would. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you have a theme.
Cool. Next one that's on our list is parrot head dance. How many of you know what a parrot head is? How many of you are parrot heads? How many of the sharks on top of your head? Parrot heads are Jimmy Buffett fans, and they're very passionate. He's been a great performer for a long time. And a few years ago, we decided to have a parrot head dance, and luckily we put on there that we advertised it that Charlie Robertson and I did this dance together, and we advertised it as a parrot head dance. Wear your island attire, because when we asked how many parrot heads were, or how many were there who knew what a parrot head was, 2 people raised their hand. I was pretty worried at that moment. But as we started playing the music, they started going, oh, that guy. Oh, he did that. And then it came around in a very nice way. And this is a dance I actually went and did a lot of research on. And the whole night was done in the career of Jimmy Buffett. We started off with the music that we had. We figured out which ones were done first, which albums they came from, and every tip included just a quick 20-second thing about what album it came from, where his career was, and just left it very simple that way. But we all had island costumes and everything else doing, and they had refreshments accordingly, and it was just a hoot. We're going to recreate that this year with Matt and I, but it's just got some great songs in there of Jimmy Buffett's over there. They're listed there: Margaritaville, Come Monday, Cheeseburger in Paradise, which is one of my favorites because you get the entire crowd shouting with that one. You do know Cheeseburger in Paradise? You never done Cheeseburger in Paradise? Oh, Lordy, we got to get the middle break. We got to get the middle break for this one because that's what it's all about. Okay, let's see if I can zoom it because it starts off with real island-type music. How about this? Callerlab. Tried to amend my carnivorous habits. I made it nearly 70 days. Do an alum left the corner here. Run home, do it of C-dove. Left alum man, and then you weave the ring. It goes cheeseburger in paradise, heaven on earth with an onion slice. Not too particular, not too precise. It's just a cheeseburger in paradise. But that's not the good part. The good part is the middle break and the closer, because this is the song that my family grew up. I was a parrot head. We went to Jimmy Buffett concerts, and I grew up with my kids singing this song. We'd go to a restaurant and have a cheeseburger, and the whole family would break into the middle break here. And it goes something like that. Those are daiquiris, but that American creation is a West Side Space Grand Square. I like mine with lettuce and tomato, Heinz 57 and French fried potatoes, a big kosher pickle and a cold draft beer. Well, good God Almighty, which way do I steer for my cheeseburger in paradise? We get the idea there. But yeah, whole family, both my young kids singing cheeseburger. I like mine with lettuce and tomato. So we have to go occasionally and have it that way. But anyways, shut up there. I get into that one. You never heard that song? We're going to teach you how. Well, you don't obviously eat cheeseburgers, okay? Yes, Mike. Yep.
Do you have pencil thin mustache in your?
Pencil thin mustache is in there as well.
That's such a cool tune from Jimmy Buffett, so it's a great one to use. You have it in your.
It's on the list on the handout. You want to hear it?
Yes, but I was wondering if you had it.
Oh, do I have it in here?
Turning into a Jimmy Buffett concert.
Yeah, you think? Yeah, it's all right with me. I'm getting good practice for this dance we have coming up. All right. And this is very.
Pencil thin mustache is reminiscent of like.
How about this? I wish I had a pencil thin mustache, the Boston Blackie kind. A two-tone Ricky Ricardo jacket and an autographed picture of Andy Devine. 4 ladies chain across you do. You chain them home, promenade you do. 'Cause if I had a pencil-thin mustache, I could solve some mysteries too. Yeah. So anyway, he's got a wide range of things. They're volcano songs, they're island things. They're just a really blast. And the people really get into it. And usually by the time they get done, they go, oh, I know that guy. And they leave there being parrot heads. So it's kind of a fun thing. Moving on, our next one is actually one that I stole, and I didn't quite steal it well enough because I told him I was going to do this. So I told him to come here and explain his own theme. And so Mr. Mike Oliveri from North Glen, Colorado, good friend of mine from my area. He's got that's that separate handout you had. It explains it a little bit on here, but he goes into more detail in that second handout. So Mike, would you like to come up here? Or would you like to turn that? Where would you like to be?
What would I like to do? Beats me. One of the things I did when I became a new caller was talk to the other callers, and it's like you need to find your own niche. Well, one of the things I did was I started theming every dance I went to. Every dance had a theme to it. Now, a lot of the outlying areas had never heard of something like that. They didn't plan themes. They just had dances. So it got around to the point where, Mike's coming to our dance. We're going to go to the dance just to find out what his theme is. Well, in the Denver area, we have the bulletin. We have a full-page listing of one of the clubs, and they had, for example, May 1st, Dave Deal calls our May Day dance. May 29th, Bear Miller calls our Memorial Day dance. And in the middle was May 15th, Mike Oliveri. So I took that page of the bulletin, and I blew it up, and I took it to the dance and said, look at this, and I played it up real big. You got Dave Deal doing this and Bear doing this, and in the middle is me. So I said, okay, so since there's no theme listed, that's what we're going to do. No theme dance tonight. So I started off with, on the first singing call was, I don't know why I love you like you do. I just do. Second tip was, no milk today. Third tip was, no shirt, no shoes, no problem. Got to the fourth tip, got ready to do, check yes or no. And I says, does anybody realize the no theme dance? And they're like, you said there was no theme. And I said, that's right. And they're like, what? And I said, no theme. I said, all my songs have no in them. And they're like, oh. So it played up real big. But, the other themes I've done is like the Heritage Dance, a whole night of disco. And you talk about, rent the John Travolta outfit, the white suit and stuff like that. Occupations, girls' names, travel, holidays, the whole 9 yards. So you can do lots of themes and use the same music over and over. So, thank you, Bear.
I like that note because that's very creative. So sometimes you have to think outside the box, and Mike did that very well in that situation. It was just when I heard about it, and people around town still talk about it. Mike did that no thing, and I'm like, great, I can't do anything like that. Maybe I should do a yes dance or something, But yeah, you can't top that kind of stuff because it's just the good stuff.
That was wonderful. On the handout going on to the second page there, that where it says lions and tigers and bears, oh my.
They say that a lot of my dances anyway, but it's usually oh no.
How many of you have a stuffed animal from your childhood around somewhere? Do you have them? I have my blue teddy, that has no fur on it anymore, and the eyes have fallen off. And sometimes I think it's fun for people to bring their old stuffed animals. And, you need the voice up a little bit? Okay, thank you. So, and then they have a contest. They'll have a vote. The dancers will vote for the it's maxed out? Okay. For the ugliest bear or the rattiest bear or the cutest bear or whatever they want to do. And I'll get that one back there. You're standing on it, Bear. Thank you. But one of my favorite songs to do when we're having a theme like that is the song from Jungle Book called Bare Necessities on hi-hat. However, there has to be the bear thing performed in the song. How many of you know how to do the bear thing? Okay, if you've come to a dance where I've done Bare Necessities, I've taught you how. You don't know how. All right. Well, let's see. We don't need a whole square, but could I get maybe two couples to step up just in front so the rest of you can see how you have to do a bear thing?
Grab one of those boys.
Today? Good girl. Okay. If you just face the other couple. All right. Now, I want to just step just a tiny bit closer. We're going to pretend that we've done some choreography that has taken the heads to face their corner, okay? So there's another half of a square over here doing the same thing. And I will tell them this is normally where you get to swing your corner. But in this song, you have to do this first. Do a pass-through. Now think behind you. How does a big old wild bear scratch his back in the woods? He backs up to a tree and he rubs up and down. And so you have him do that and say, then turn around, and then you'll swing her. But say, I'll meet you here later.
Oh, you don't do that
Okay.
same thing again that way?
No,
Okay.
there's no front rubbing. No. Just the back rubbing. You can sit down. Thank you. That's a whole nother dance and theme. But doing the bear thing in that singing call is what sells it. That's what really gets it across. And they will have, and you have to cue it very carefully. You can't just tell them do the bear thing because they take off like ruptured ducks and they forget to work behind them. So you have to cue them through it. But that's doing the bear thing. And you can work that into the figure. And before you have them swing, have them pass through, think behind you, do the bear thing, turn around and swing and promenade. And it just shines like a brand new shiny toy. They love doing that. I get requests for that as well. We're going to do the bear song tonight. You have something to add to the bear thing? The bear theme?
I like. Huh? Do you want to do? Well, I do a lot of bear songs, needless to say, but we change a lot of things, and I do a couple dances a year where we collect stuffed animals for the local hospitals to give out to children who come in, and so it's called Bring a Bear, Show You Care. So we always do that, and people bring a lot of stuffed animals, and we do it in the Northeast because in Denver you have to bring the new toy in the box. It can't be a used one. Whereas in the Northeast, they ask for used ones, good clean ones, and they'll take care of the cleaning them before they give them to them. So I really love that one because I'll take the tip and everybody goes picks out the stuffed animal, and every time I call a trade, whoever you're trading with, you have to trade bears with as well. And it's really, really funny when they don't know that's coming. There's a bunch of stuffed animals, very little ones and very big ones sometimes. And to watch these stuffed animals get passed around by doing the same song, and they're having to trade, and then, of course, you have to do some trades that are very creative, like same-sex trade for an ocean wave, so the boys are reaching over the top, and it gets to be very comical, and it's just a really good time to use on that. So would you like to go on to Fly the USA?
Go ahead. Take it away.
Fly it away. All right. Fly the USA, we did an entire theme dance, one of our big New Year's Eve productions. We since toned it down about a whole day of flights, and we had to have baggage claims and everything else. But it was really fun because we did some different kind of things with it. We named cities we were going to. It had a theme around it. You got your baggage stamp in those places and everything. And there's some great songs to start off with. Do you do Come Fly With Me? You don't do me neither, but Mike Seastrom does it wonderfully. But that's a great one to start off with, or I'll Fly Away. And we actually picked cities and places we went to. You know, we did songs like Ace in the Hole when we went to Vegas and climbed that mountain high when we came to Denver. But my favorite one was actually when we did the Red Eye flight. And again, that was a really good time to take out the stuffed animals. We threw an oversized pair of jammies over us, and we climbed on the plane. We got our little pillows, and we took the Red Eye flight. And, of course, then it just went circle left. Lay your head down on my shoulder. I won't let the night get any colder. Left Alabama, the side. Left Alabama to weave the rain until you wake in the morning. Swing your girl promenade and dream on. Dream about the world we're gonna live in one fine day. So anyway, it was just kind of fun to take that idea of the flights and change it into a red eye flight type thing to kind of ease the middle of the dance and change it around a little bit. So, but those are endless because there's just songs about every city or state you can go to. You can go to this airport, that airport, and you don't have to worry about extending it out or anything. You just have a really good time with it. That's a very simple one.
I thought that was a brilliant theme. I've never done a Fly the USA theme, and I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
This was really fun because the whole thing we ended up, I threw some ideas at her. We put something together. Then she's like, "Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that." She sent me some back, and so now we both have a bunch more dances to play with.
Yeah, we have more themes, more stuff to do. Now, family night. You see there that we have all sorts of songs that can be used. I put a little note at the bottom. Have everyone bring their baby pictures and have a game or contest to try and match the photos to the person they are now. Nude photos are encouraged. Why not bring those little ones out that we did all those years ago? So I think that has been a lot of fun. And then whoever gets the most right, most correct, gets a prize at the end. But you see, all of the music is themed about family, such as Grandma's Feather Bed, Old Time Preacher Man, Thank Heaven for Little Girls. So everyone can bring family photographs and have them sitting around, and that's a nice way to do it too.
All right, USO night. That's absolutely one of my favorites. We've got a big production coming up about it, and we decided it's very cool because the USO, started back in World War II, and it was the Andrews Sisters and groups like that, and Bing Crosby, but you look over the USO over the years. Well, it's been every artist. A lot of artists have gone and done it in different decades in different wars. I mean, as recently as now, you've got Toby Keith and those kind of guys going over to the Gulf and performing their forms. So you're not just held back to the USO of the 1940s. You can just go and do some research on this kind. Any of this stuff, if you can put any research into it at all on your own free extra time that you have about bringing something to it, even though it's a 20-second or 5-second interlude of what you're talking about, just the fact that there was Andrew Sister in such a year, and can you envision them doing this in Belgium during World War II? That kind of thing just brings a little more life to it, and that's a very simple thing to do. You can put on an army helmet and a jacket, and then you don't have to change anything over the years because it's the artists who would go in and put those same uniforms on for them, and you can do anything and everything, including some of the stuff from the old days. And these handouts and everything will be on the web. And all this music is legal music from Square Dance Company. But you've got great stuff like this. Pardon me? On the Callerlab website. And I think it's in the members only. And you can go in there and you can go back and look at any of the things that people that they've actually put on there now. Most of the sessions, if they have handouts, you can go, if you didn't get one there, or if you go, I have that one last year, I lost it, what happened to it? You can go on there and be able to just download these fresh ones in at that point. Okay, and that's www.callerlab.org. But anyway, this is an old Sammy Hain song. And I don't have to sing this song. I can put this on for patter to start a time, and it's just got a great beat to work with, but everybody's got that feel of the time era. This is, of course, Be Mr. Shane. What did I hear about that? But anyway, it just has a great feel to it. And then you can do anything. I mean, you can go to Toby Keith doing Who's Your Daddy? Because you can go to the far extremes, but it's really fun if you can kind of time out your dance to start in the 1940s and work through and then talk about which war you see these people in and just add it to it as they went. And you can and there's research on the web that you can go to about the USO and which stars have been there, and you can just add on from there.
And you can get your dancers involved as well by asking them how many are there for the armed forces, for the Navy. If you have some theme music, the Navy's theme song, the Air Force theme song, the Army, and the Coast Guard, you can play music like that. It gives the dancers recognition for that service, and that's extremely important as well. And you can also get a Boy Scout group, something of that nature, to come in and present the colors for that night and do it in that way. You can also do something to where all the men have to pay the girls a dime for every dance. Okay? Just let your imagination go. Now, looking on to the other page, the standards, A Night at the Theater. Oh, yeah, baby. You're talking show tunes. You're talking my language. And, of course, I love musicals. Everybody who's ever danced to me knows that. I love to do songs from musicals. And I like to be able to pass on the information, such as when the musical was written and who it was by, and maybe if the song won an Oscar, or the artist won a Grammy, or something of that nature, to pass out a little bit of information. But do you have Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend? I don't have it. I would just like them to hear it, and then I'm going to put on so you can hear all that jazz. It's on Pioneer. Thank you. Diamonds are a girl's bestest friend. And I like to do that one with a kind of a Maryland imitation. And try to do her movements and stuff like that. Now, as a male dancer, you may feel a little ridiculous. Or you may really enjoy it, you know, whatever you'd like to do. But I kind of enjoy being able to sell it like that for that particular one. Now, all that jazz...
Wait. While we're staying on diamonds,
okay.
It's fun for that whole tip to play, of course, during your patter
Right,
in diamonds, if you're at a plus dance, and feature diamonds during the figures as well to kind of tie them both together.
Yes. And I also have a couple of great big huge costume rings that I like to wear for something
She says
like
they're costume.
well.
John says they're real.
And then this one, this is on Chicago Country. This was done by Patty King. Sarah does it too. Come on, babe, why don't we paint the town? And all that jazz. Everybody will be singing that with you. Everybody. And one of the things that's wonderful is if you have a round dance cuer that night, if they can work standards into their program. In a lot of the dances that I do, we have a cuer who comes in to present their part of the program as well. If the caller and the cuer can work together with a theme, imagine what kind of a package you have just presented for your dancers that night. So they can do all that jazz. They can do some of the standards as well. Don't Cry for Me, Argentina is another fantastic song. What do you like to do, Bear, for that one?
I like to do just something a little different because one of my favorite people in the world is Robin Williams, and Robin Williams actually had a great hit from a song from a movie, and it's just not something that everybody does, so I like to do it. Oh, yeah. Four ladies circle left in the center of the ring. Come back and swing around. I said one time round, join hands, circle left. Go walking down the ring. Left island man, and then you weave around the ring. I said, Mr. Aladdin, sir, what would your pleasure be? Swing and whirl, a pretty girl in promenade. You see, well, I said, life is your restaurant, and I'm your melody. Well, tell me what you want. I've never had a friend like me. But it's unusual. People don't do that one, and it's just kind of fun. And some of those ones that you can make almost unique for yourself in your area is very cool. I mean, some of the stuff that Deborah does that I do too. When Deborah's coming to town, I don't do it for the month before or the month after, because Deborah does it that well.
Oh, you're such a sweetheart. Thank you. But the decorations that you can put up, if you can have, for example, you can also get your refreshment committee, if you serve any sort of refreshments at your dance, get them to play into the theme as well. Have popcorn that night, if you can serve in the little bags and such. That always kind of continues that sort of a feature theme. Yes, the little miniature candy bars, or even the great big candy bars. You could do that too. But it always helps to get the whole group involved in something like that. Okay, now moving down to the next one, we have Cowboy Night. That's kind of a standard where I come from now. And everybody likes to get dressed and wear their cowboy hats or get dressed up in their buckaroo stuff and come and have cowboy stuff. That's an easy dance to theme. A quick handkerchief and a cowboy hat, and it's also fun to have a sheriff that night. And get somebody from your club that has a little bit of personality, and give them a badge, and maybe even a little sidearm, and they can go around and be watching, and at break time they can fine people for something that they did or didn't do. And you can also put people in jail.
In the pokey.
In the pokey. Yeah. Explain to them how that works.
Can we
Mayor.
not have John be the sheriff, though? Just, I
John
always get
is
thrown in jail.
He's the best.
But anyway, you have a place where then people have to do something. If you have any kind of thing going on, that you put them in a place and somebody has to do something to get them out. Whether it's a monetary thing or they just have to do something nice for somebody else to get that person out of the pokey is the way we play it. And some people stay in there a long time. And then sometimes you get people bidding and say, if we get this much money, if you're doing it like trying to a fundraiser, this is a great thing for that. People will bid to get them out. You have to get a certain amount of money bid to get them out. Well, then somebody else might bid more money to keep them in, depending on who it is. So that's just a great little thing if you're doing it as a moneymaker type thing for a charity of some kind to add that feature, because so many of the charities actually do that I'm in jail and I need this much of a bond to get me out. Can you please help by a donation? So you can do that on a small scale basis at your dances.
And here's a piece of music. Circle that Willie, he's a long-tall Texan. He rides a big white horse. Man, star right, giddy up, giddy up, giddy up, giddy up. Do an Alabama left for the corner of the hall and you weave around that ring. Swing your girl and you promenade her. And people look at him and say, is that your horse? And you've got the fun backup singers in there to add that to your program. So that's a good piece of music. That's Long Tall Texan on ESP.
Here's a piece of patter I found. It's actually a dance remix by Dwayne Eddy. You can find online from, I didn't get this iPod. I got this legaldownloads.com. But it's a version of a song that you'll all recognize in a second, and it has a great dance beat after the beginning of it. Has a pretty long intro to talk over just a little bit. But you do this while you're getting them squared up a little bit. And right now they should be starting to go, I think I know what the song is, but it comes in with this great beat right about. And just one of those dance remixes that just has a great beat to it to be able to dance with. When the shoulders come up and they'll be going, riding my horse. But it's got all that little cool back stuff in there. Once again, that is a dance remix of Ghost Riders in the Sky, and it's made by the best of Dwayne Eddy. Was the album it was off of.
Another theme that has to do with the Western. Do you remember the movie The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
I'm always the ugly.
Well, if you have more than one caller, you can have it. You can theme it as The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You can also stay with the Western theme and the Western music, but you can also vary your choreographic material to focus on the good or the bad or the ugly. And that has been a real popular one in some areas.
Can I digress?
Sure.
I missed this when we were doing the themes. This is another dance remix that I really like, and it's from the 1960s movie. You can use it for a 90-60 theme, or you can use it from movies, but it's not your normal. And once again, you can't overuse this music. It can't be a dance remix every time. But it's To Serve With Love by Lulu that they've done a dance remix on it to give a dance beat you can dance to, and it's just a great little patter thing to be able to use with this. So anyway, sorry.
Oh no, love that. That was To Serve With Love. Who sang that? Yeah, very good, guys. Now, go ahead.
And that's an Angelo Veneto dance version of To Serve With Love. So if you're looking for it online.
Now the next one. I have to say, this was Bears. He sent this to me, this Pirate Night, Jolly Roger Night. I could totally see the costumes. I could see the food. I could see the decorations. I could see everything but the music. So I'm going to, you see what he wrote there? All songs begin with R. So you have to demonstrate that, Bear.
I think you just did. It's just a silly little thing because I was the same way. They had this dance, and the club decided they want to have a Jolly Roger dance because we have Roger Chappelle in our area. He's coming down. They want to have a Jolly Roger dance, and Roger called me and says, I don't know any pirate music. We could talk about cruise music or things or some ocean stuff, but there's some stuff that way. But how do I get a pirate dance? And I says, well, just come down and have some fun with it, and have every song start with the letter R. And then, like halfway through, like Mike's thing, he says, have you noticed that I've stayed with the theme? And they're going, no, because you did Redneck Girl, and you did, Ready for Times to Get Better, and stuff like this. And they're going, well, how did you stick with the theme? And then he brought the same kind of surprise factor back. Well, they all started with the letter R. So.
Okay, I get it better now. I understand better now. Right under that, this is pretty simple and easy. I'm sure you guys, almost every club has something like this right around, thank you, Valentine's Day. And that's pretty easy. You can put mistletoe up, keep that. You can also have a kissing booth. If you want to put something like that at your dance, sell kisses for $1, raise some extra money. And I, as a caller, I always love it if they can get a few people to wear something other than the color red to a dance like that. Have some folks at least in pink or white with hearts or something of that nature. And heaven knows there's tons and tons of love songs that you could fit into that theme. That theme is pretty simplistic. Okay. Psychedelic 60s. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I was there. Yeah, shoot, yeah, I'm that old. The first one of these I did was a full weekend that was booked as Psychedelic 60s. Oh, man, I wanted to get into that. I jumped into that with all 4 feet. So I got a black Cher wig. All right, so, and then I went and got some white lipstick, because we used to wear white lipstick or flesh-colored lipstick in those days. And I got love beads, and I got a tie-dye shirt, and I got granny glasses, and I got the bell-bottom pants, and I got everything on, and I got myself all dressed, and I went walking into that dance that night, and they didn't know me from Adam's gray house cat. Nobody knew who I was. And I had invited my daughter to come to the dance because it was in the area where she lived. It was in Long Beach, California. And my phone rang, and it was about maybe 6 or 7 minutes to 8 o'clock. It was about time to start. And she's, Mom? I said, yeah? She says, where are you? I said, well, where are you? I'm right here. She said, well, I'm here, but I can't find you. And she was as far away from me as the speaker. My own child did not recognize me. And so we had a picture taken of the two of us together, and I brought it home, and I was showing John, hey, here's some pictures from the weekend. And I showed him the picture, and he looked at the picture of my daughter and me, and he says, who is that ugly woman with Aaron? That's me. What do you mean? But, boy, I looked so different because of the black hair. And, of course, I'd done my eyebrows black and all that sort of stuff. So, anyways, I really got into that. But the music is tons of music to be able to use for the Psychedelic 60s. And I wore my sandals, and it was lots of fun. So what did you do, Bear?
Same kind of thing, except for they recognized me anyway, no matter what I put on. It's funny, I walk down, and people don't really catch on that I'm not me. But anyway, this for patter, I found this, and this is something that was on alternative music here at Callerlab a few years ago. But it's called the Stars in the 45, but it's a Beatle medley, and I actually trimmed off the real long, silly intro they have. But it's just a great little thing for patter or something like this, because it has like 12 Beatles songs that you can just call over the top very easily with, because it's just kind of their background. But it starts off like this. It's real easy to call to. Well, bow to your partner, corners to join hands, circle left, it kicks in good. Do an Allemande left. Do an OC-do. Men, star left, the middle, let's go. Pick up your partner, arm around, star promenade. Boys back up, girls swing in. Hang on tight, girls, back up. Full turn. Half more, boys swing in. Boys back up, join hands, circle up. But it has really nice segue between different songs. So it's just what it is. It's called Stars on 45, and I trimmed off the beginning because it had like a 45-second thing at the beginning and a 45-second thing at the end. And they were going to. The original plans for this were they had this whole Stars on 45 that was going to be a series. They were going to have different artists, but they kind of stopped after the Beatles because it just didn't sell as well as they thought.
If you're looking for Beatles tunes, Sting Records does a lot of Beatles songs. And, they've got Long and Winding Road, they've got Nowhere Man, all kinds of different Beatles songs. As I said, they're for more fun. Dress up as the Beatles. If you've got 4 of you that will get together and dress up like that, you can do their songs and decide who's going to be which one and have some good fun there. Going on down to the fabulous 50s, anybody out here ever done a 50s dance? Every hand in the room will go up, I'm sure. I love doing a 50s dance. And again, if you can involve your round dance cure in putting on dancers from the 50s and getting that kind of music going, it really does make for a more complete theme. Of course, you've got the poodle skirts, you've got the jeans that are rolled up. See if some of the guys will come with T-shirts with maybe a pack of Marlboros rolled up in the sleeve, and pomade the hair and all that fun kind of stuff. I just love doing a 50s dance. And I have a whole costume thing of 50s stuff that I like to keep for doing a 50s dance. Those seem to get good response from the dancers. However, the younger dancers, they were not there. So it doesn't have much relevance to younger folks. So you have to gear it to the people that you have. But there's all kinds of music there. And again, I love to do like Walking After Midnight, even though that's a country song, it was a pop crossover. And that was Patsy Cline's first #1 hit, 1959. I like to throw information like that out there when I'm doing that, so it kind of ties it all together. I love putting my hair in a ponytail with a scarf in it, and I have a skirt that doesn't have a poodle on it, has a kitty cat on it, but still I enjoy being able to wear that kind of stuff and do that sort of music. What do you like to do, Bear?
I like to put my hair in a ponytail and put on a poodle skirt, too. You wouldn't believe how I look like that. I'm the same way. A lot of that stuff, like we said, these are standards. These are a lot of things that you've all done, you all know, and we're not going to spend a lot of time because we do want to save a little bit of time for question and answer period or your own ideas and this kind of stuff. So we're going to pop on down here, if that's okay, to the Roaring 20s. And, of course, the costumes and everything, once again, are just endless to be able to do. I just switched down there to do that other tune, and I should have just stayed up here. But because I never works with me. Let me do one from the 50s that I'll do the music. I won't do it because Deborah worked with me a couple of years at Callerlab. We used to do a thing where you get one-on-one with some of the accredited caller coaches at some of the Callerlabs, and I had a one-on-one with Deborah, and she helped me with a tune. And now I can't. I remember it's this song way down here. I should have just. It's an old Chuck Berry tune. This guy's a great piano. Poor ladies probably need a one-time, Come back and swing your man a high and low. You join hands, circle up. Go walking around the ring. You do a left Allemande, then you weave the ring. Yes, it's me and I'm in love again. Ain't had no loving since you know when. You know I love you, yes I do. I'm saving all my love for you. It just has all that great feel of the 50s, and it isn't a normal one, the normal standard one you hear and see, and that's Yes, It's Me, and that's on Global 942, and it's just great stuff.
You were going to go to the 20s?
I was going to go to the 20s, that's right. And there's just a bunch of stuff there, and of course you can use the stuff from Chicago. You can go back and use all that jazz as being from the 20s, even though it wasn't from the 20s, but everybody thinks of the 20s when they see that because of Velma and Roxy. And but doing some of the really fun old stuff, just to show you variety sometime, is stuff like Cirla. Well, ain't she sweet as she's walking down the street? Now ask you very confidential, well, ain't she sweet? just has that great ragtime feel to it a little bit, and just is a blast to play with. And of course, we got other ones listed there too. 5'2", Let Smile Be on Your Umbrella. You can do a whole lot of bringing the dance up and bringing it down with that kind of music.
And do you know that if you go to dosado.com that they have that music already segregated sort of for you, so you can look into a list of music. You don't have to go and research every song. They've done some of that work for you, which I think is wonderful. Moving down to the cruise dance, that was basically the first real theme dance I ever did for a club. And I saw they were going to have a cruise, so that's what they were theming. So I went to my local costume shop, and I rented a captain's jacket and hat, and I wore a set of black pants that night and black shoes. And I got there early, and the club had been decorating all day, and they had a gangplank that they had rigged that went down over the steps of the hall. So you went up the gangplank to go into the dance hall. And they had strung little white lights along there just like a ship. They had really put a lot of effort into it. And I stood at the bottom of the gangplank and welcomed everyone aboard. And once they saw that I was that into, of course, I had tried to have as much theme music as I could. They've hired me to do their anniversary dance every year ever since, because they liked the fact that the caller got so involved with their theme, because they had really worked hard. Now, you see there I said cruise/midnight buffet. That's what they themed their refreshments. And they had a separate room, because it was a big dance, it was their anniversary dance, so they didn't have the refreshments in the hall. And if you've ever been on a cruise, you know what the midnight buffet is. They had taken some oranges and carved them and sculpted them like they do for the big fancy buffets on board ship. And they had gotten a little ice sculpture that they had in there. They really did it up nice. And the Banana Boat song is great. I also have a piece of patter music that I like to use for Banana Boat medley. And there it goes. You can't not move to that music. People are going to move to it, So it already sets that kind of we're taking a tropical cruise sort of a feel. So I like to use that for patter as well. I don't have the label right here in front of me. I'm sorry. I've got it in my list as Banana Boat Medley. You could research it as that. What do you like to use for? I see we've got 2 pina coladas.
I like 2 pina coladas, but I sometimes like to take it the other way and just let it ease back a little bit and do something that might touch somebody at a different point from their lives. Circle up. I want to go where the warm wind blows me. I just want to ease my mind. Left Allen man, turn your partner right. Left Allen man, weave the ring. Watch that old moon rising on the horizon. Swing your girl promenade. I'm just making it easy for taking it easy with you. Just a real nice flowing little thing. Anyway, let's pull on here a little bit, because we're wrapping up against time, and we told them we wouldn't finish. We started late, but we finish on time, so I'll talk a little faster through this part and get us caught back up on time, and we'll work on it here a little bit. But Disney is one of my absolute favorites. Have you heard I have a grandson? He's now 3, and he is fabulous. So I get to use music to him sometimes and get to do some things. And one of my favorite things, being a bear, is Winnie the Pooh. And, of course, a few years ago, Royal put out just a song just made for me. I sing about bears. I can sing about Winnie. Circle up. Christopher Robin and I walked along under branches lit by the moon. But I don't really like that part. I like the center part where it goes like this, because this is what it's really about. Circle up. Winnie the Pooh doesn't know what to do. He's got a honey jar stuck on his nose. I can sing like that to my grandson. It makes me really happy. But anyway, I love Disney stuff just because it's the happiest place on earth. And we've got a question, Darlene.
Randy Doherty has a song that I helped him put together. It's from Man
Thank you. See Randy.
And you see that? Do you see that we've got a couple of songs there that, like Bare Necessities, Colors of the Wind? Those were in other themes. Like I told you guys, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Some of these songs will certainly apply in different areas. And, of course, if you are from California, you have great access to Disney memorabilia. Folks can bring in their Disney stuff, whether they're Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse ears. The decor for it can be amazing. And and what do they call Disneyland but the happiest place on earth? So you could call your dance theme that night the happiest place on earth. Now, the last one that's there is MASH, and this was a smash theme for a club anniversary dance that I did, and it was so easy to get the costume. The MASH hat, the MASH T-shirt, I had my costume. Pair of khaki pants and a pair of brogan boots, and I was dressed. And lots of music that is listed there. And the Korean War is kind of the forgotten war sometimes. So it's nice to have something that focuses on that war. We lost a lot of folks in that war. And there are veterans that did serve in that war that come to the dance. And it's nice to recognize them as well. So we listed lots and lots of songs for you in that regard. Oh, you need to plug in. Here. You can unplug me.
We only have one. This is the last one. So we have
yes.
One song there.
Okay. Okay, so the club had decorated everything. They brought me into the dance on a gurney with a sheet over me, sort of a thing, So you can always, let your imagination go. Watch an old episode of MASH or something, and it also helps if you can get the theme music from that and have that playing at the beginning of the dance. That makes a big difference. So we would love to hear some ideas from y'all, or if you have any questions, or like Darlene had music that she said to say. So
there's a mic in the center. If you see
yes.
Mike,
Mike
raise your hand. He'll come to you.
All right, please.
Make sure you put your name,
identify yourself, please.
And where you're from. Do I know which mic is what for what I'm recording?
Oh, yeah.
That mic's hiding up here to our system, so yeah.
Okay. I'm Hal Barnes from Bowie, Maryland. A lot of places it's common to have a Super Bowl theme, and we had a club. One of my dances this year was a Super Bowl theme, and an interesting thing, we started it off with a coin toss between me and the Cure, and the Cure won, so we started off the dance with the round dances because the Cure won the toss.
That's very cute. Yeah.
No, not really.
Just two quick things. Under your night at the theater.
Who are you?
Oh, you're right. I forgot who I am. I'm Erin Byers. I'm from California. And music for Night at the Theater, there are 3 excellent singing calls. Oklahoma, Oh, What a Beautiful Morning, and Some Enchanted Evening. There's probably more, but that's the only ones I can think of off the top of my head. Also, we once did a theme dance that was a toga party. And it was an absolute blast, but I do suggest that you have a box of extra large safety pins on hand just in case somebody's toga comes unanchored. But it was a really great time.
Thank you. Hand up over here, Mike.
Run, Mike, run. No. Bill Eiler from Albuquerque. One time I did a cultural explosion dance, and I researched the top 10 songs from 1960 through 1969, and every tip went from 1960 all the way to the end to 69, so that you could hear the way the music changed over the decade.
Oh, that's cool.
Darren Galena from California. You kind of build on that 50s dance. You can do the same thing. There's enough music to where you can do a singing call from each year, and just a little trivia from that year. People kind of like to, it's like, oh, I remember that, and houses were $30,000. Brilliant.
We have a comment behind you, Mike, to your right. It's over there. Okay. Well, I know that Lawrence is there, but there's another gentleman over there.
Lawrence Johnstone, Ukiah, California. Your example of the pirate theme, all songs starting with R. I recently did a pirate dance for a club in California. I took it a little bit different. All my songs, I did one called Pirates and Poets that actually had pirates in the title, but the others were all songs about ships in the sea. But one thing I would like to say, I was listening to a recorded session from last year's Callerlab. I think it was on games, where Bear came up with this idea of having the dancers take a call away from the caller. And I thought, this fits with the theme. Pirates are the thieves of the high seas. So I had each square pick one call to take away from me that I couldn't use for that one tip. They didn't make it too hard on me either, but it worked well.
You have nicer friends than I have.
I like that a lot.
Vern Boggs from Spokane. We did a casino night this year that worked out really well. The decorations were fabulous. Songs like Ace in the Hole, The Gambler, Day Late, Dollar Short went over well. We had several decks of cards, and we did poker squares. We dealt cards out to all the dancers on the floor several times through the night. At the end of the night, the best poker hand went home with a $10 gas card. It was a neat theme. It went over well.
Terrific. In towards the. Oh, go
I was just going to say real quick. We also did we've been doing 50s themes and have a blast with it, but we wanted to do something different. So to use the same decorations this year, we're doing Jailhouse Rock.
Perfect. Back behind you.
Louis Friedlander of Lansing, Michigan. We have a color in our area that every Halloween does a hexagon dance.
That's clever.
One of the other things I've done, too, is begin the dance with, hey, if we weren't here dancing, we'd probably be home watching TV. So I do all TV songs. Petticoat Junction, Beverly Hillbillies, Mickey Mouse, Popeye, that type of thing.
That was Mike Oliveri.
Yeah. Andy Hibbergreisner from Ottawa. This one might not fit in this area, but the club I call for, we have a nice hall. It's got an arena, a rink out behind, and we ended up doing a penguin dance last year. Yeah, and you guys have just given me the idea. I'm going to expand on that idea and make it a black and white tuxedo type night, whatnot. But the key thing is that you get a little dangle for dancing on the ice, on the arena.
Okay, we've got about 1 minute. Mike? There's Chris.
Yeah, Chris Pinkham from New Hampshire. Our New England Square and Round Dance convention is coming up in a couple of weeks, and there are some different themes that we're working on. The one is a disco night. That's pretty self-aware or self-apparent. But the other thing that we do on Saturday night is we do a 1-hour blacklight dance. Everybody gets a pair of white gloves. The lights go off. And for the last couple of years, I've looked for specific music for that. And one of the ones that I would use would be It'll Be Me. Anybody familiar with that? It's a Marlette record. Okay. The other one that I like to use is Me and My Shadow. But the lights go down, and because I use a wireless mic for all of my dances, it's easy to sneak up on people and when we're working those songs. So, that's just imagination. But if you start thinking about it, there are a number of songs that you can find that have to do with dancing in the dark or some sort of situation like that. So that's kind of fun, too.
Brilliant. We have time for maybe one more comment. And then
I was thinking Old Black Magic would be good.
Down here in the front.
Well, Carolyn Goucher, Belton, Missouri. Anyway, we call ours the glowworm dance that you were just talking about with the black lights, and we have a lot of fun with the white gloves, and we get those necklaces. Bracelets that light up.
The glow-in-the-dark ones.
Yeah, glow-in-the-dark. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun.
Great. Well, the main focus of this whole thing, as you guys can see, it ties right into our convention theme, which is that's entertainment, is trying to provide an enhancement to the square dance action that's going on, and doing a little bit of work ahead of time, you can really make things come alive for the dancers. We have one final comment before we go.
Bo Byerly, North Carolina. Went to a dance one time where it was not overly done, but the area had a tradition to do with trains. So some of the people showed up in the engineers' hats and things like that. And I think that could have been carried out a little bit more. And do train songs and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely, and all kinds of train decorations. Bear?
A big hand for our beautiful moderator.
Oh,
very
thank
talented.
you so much.
Real
And
honor for
Bear
me to be
Miller.
able to play with her. So
Yes.
very nice.
It's lunchtime, folks. Have a nice lunch. Enjoy the rest
lunch.
of the convention.
Thank you, darling.